Trauma, grief, decay. These aren't just the emotional building blocks of The Last of Us Part 2. They are the very essence and foundation of its characters' actions and arcs. This game isn't just a slice of entertainment, it's so much more. It's a precise dissection of moral decomposition.
You fucked me up.
Damn, Ellie.
A deep look into the scars left behind in the wake of a perilous path of revenge and loss. Themes so heavy, even the crumbling infrastructure is burdened by them. Flooded streets, collapsing stairwells, forgotten corners where the last flickers of humanity remain. These lamentable spaces don't just have a voice, they mirror the disintegrating narrative journey. Welcome to the architecture of sadness. Despite the circumstances of their arrival, Ellie and Dina venture into Seattle with a surprisingly lighthearted outlook in the opening of Seattle Day 1. Tensions are high, and the pair remain focused on their true purpose, but the gravity of their situation has not yet landed on their shoulders. The untamed vegetation sways in the wind. Sunlight pours through the overgrown trees now intertwined with collapsed structures. The natural light irradiates the world around them, almost as an intentionally deceptive warmth, symbolic of their lack of awareness of how dark their situation is going to turn. Downtown Seattle is quiet, dressed in the remnants of the past, both of normalcy and war. There is almost a serene beauty to it, a place that feels alive and lived in despite how dead it truly is. Coffee shops sit abandoned, facing significant structural weakness. Long-lost music shops act as capsules full of tools that used to represent creation, art, and escapism. Infected linger in these spaces as reminders of the chaos that devoured the world, but it feels routine at this point. Ellie and Dina had faced small groups like this before. The Jackson patrols gave them a thicker skin for these encounters. The views were different, but the actions were muscle memory. The urgency has yet to insert itself into the narrative, and it's freeing. Exploring downtown feels more like a vacation than a deadly personal journey into uncharted territory. It's the calm before the incoming storm. The world here is interwoven with Ellie's mind and emotional state. It still showcases immense structural prowess despite the harsh storms it has endured. The world is still freely navigable to Ellie. It's still within her control, and for a few hours, she thrives on this, not yet hindered by the threats waiting just beyond the threshold of her mind. The synagogue, a place representing faith, community, and gathering, almost feels like the closest thing Ellie gets to peace. Sunlight filters through the stained glass, briefly touching the two as they navigate it for a way forward. It illuminates the rotten wood flooring, a result of decades of harsh weather and rain. In this brief moment the pair share, the world seems right, like it was trying to tell her something. But that's going to change. Without warning, a trip mine explodes beneath them, shattering that calm facade they spent the last few hours basking in. This was real now. As Ellie drifts back into consciousness, she finds herself in a whole nother world. With the death of Jordan and the complete disdain she had for him lingering in that moment, the tonal shift has occurred. The sun is gone. Heavy clouds now smother the sky's warmth, replacing it with menacing and harsh, colorless grays. The open-ended freedom of downtown has been stripped away, replaced by suffocating hallways and winding corridors of a repurposed school. Education had been replaced by blood leaking from the wounds of the fallen. The paths ahead are more confined, with only one way forward, an escape filled with armed threats, eager to spill blood without warning or explanation. It's here you realize the world is no longer your ally. It's starting to push back, against the player, against Ellie. The fuse for her moral collapse has been lit. One of Abby's crew has been taken care of, and Ellie's vision grew narrow. She had her eyes locked on her purpose again. Yet, much like the chaotic layout of the school around her, she doesn't quite know how to navigate it with any precision. But Day 2 will bring a much clearer view. Much like Ellie's descent on Day 2, the world is bracing for an impending storm. What little sunlight peeked out behind the dominant clouds nearing Day 1's resolution is now completely extinguished. Storm clouds settle over the overgrown streets, reclaimed suburban homes, and long-forgotten shopping districts. It's almost as if the world and its reactions are intrinsically tied to Ellie. She has yet to lose herself, and the sky has yet to show its wrath. but that conclusion grows nearer. The safety net present but gradually stripped away during day 1 is now more absent than ever. Danger is now constant. The threats have become more deadly and frequent along the path, but much like the weather, nothing is going to stop Ellie. She will kill anyone she has to in order to get what she came for. An unrelenting force brought upon this world. The world reflects this obsession, her ruthless desire. But much like day 1, it starts off quiet, with just a few gunshots echoing out from unseen chaos in the distance. With Dina succumbing to illness, Ellie is alone now. There is no one to ground her anymore, no one to fill the dead silence and stop the war raging on in her head. As a result, the world feels lonelier, colder, and less forgiving. The suburban neighborhoods have been forced to succumb to nature's ravenous appetite. Trees and vegetation violently wrap around man-made structures. Mother Nature is nothing if not persistent, just like Ellie, seeping into every crack and point of weakness. Places that once held souls are now reduced to patrol routes and outposts for a militia without morals. Major roadways have given in to the pressure and damage caused by years of erosion. Used coffee cups sit eerily on their sides, relics forgotten when everything went wrong, representing a time longed for, one of normalcy. Entire sections of the city have been left to rot. Even the infected have changed, lingering, evolving, left to their own demise while the denizens of Seattle wage wars for supremacy and control, spreading their way into spaces where people once thrived. Hillcrest is a haunting monument to what the world truly lost, a heartbeat, a sense of community, and the feeling of safety we long for. Places where people once raised families and made memories. They're now nothing more than an obstacle between point A and B, hollow spaces filled with the increasing presence of WLF in the region. There's an interesting shift here in the themes of control, or rather, the loss of it. Something feels different now. The WLF, a force that demands control and order, is breaking apart. They're not just hunting trespassers, they're scrambling in reaction to the destruction Jesse leaves behind.
We got another trespasser, a girl. Did you see her?
No, but the fucking guy is nearby.
Oh, shit.
We're looking for 2!
The fuck's all that smoke?
He blew up one of our trucks.
How'd you let that happen?
Just find them. I want those fucking trespassers!
Desperately attempting to regain control over a threat they can't contain. Despite her confidence, Ellie too is losing control, barely escaping encounters and going up against forces that vastly outnumber her. But she remains steadfast in the face of adversity, much like the structure still standing in Hillcrest. Following Jesse's footsteps, Ellie dives into a river of blood, leaving her own mark in a chaotic line across the city, inevitably leading to her next destination, the hospital. A beacon, one that once held the promise of help and healing. Now it sits eerily surrounded by waist-high vegetation, crumbling infrastructure, and a makeshift base camp, awaiting the impact of 2 storms, one in the sky and one burning inside of Ellie, eager to be unleashed on the next member of Abby's crew, Nora, bringing day 2 to a close. Ellie enters day 3 a changed person, a less structurally sound version of who walked into Seattle just 2 days prior. Similarities she now shares with the part of Seattle she is about to step into, crumbling and collapsing. This time, the city barely resembles its intended form. It's been swallowed by the storm. Rapids rush through decrepit arcades and warehouses. Waves with sharp velocity crash against buildings drowning below sea level. It's become fragmented, bearing a horrifying resemblance to Ellie's frame of mind. Both Jesse and Ellie trek out into the coastal edges of Seattle, unaware of the turning point lying just ahead of them. There's a stark difference from days prior. The world isn't just pushing back anymore, it's Ellie's worst enemy. Streets have been ripped apart from erosion and natural decay, bearing flowing trenches of water below, winding in sporadic ways. Crumbling buildings lean into the void, offering makeshift paths forward. Paths that at first seem to share a common goal between friends on a rescue mission, but that doesn't last. In her quest for revenge, Ellie takes her own path, signifying her total decay, and with it, the city, as if in response, unleashes its full wrath. The sky opens up, sending out a violent surge of rain. Thunder cracks overhead, echoing the waves that batter Ellie's boat, inching one step closer to completely losing herself in the void. The WLF and Scars don't let the storm stop their violence from unfolding. They clash under thunderous applause, two sides of one senseless conflict, fighting for control of a world that is already gone. Joel made sure of that, and Ellie, she's not going to turn back. The storm of violence calls to her, it pulls her in, so she pushes forward into the heart of it. And just before the ravenous waters consume her, before she's fully pulled under, there's one last shred of hope. The arcade. A place synonymous with Ellie, the Ellie we once knew, the Ellie we grew to love, a version of herself shaped by joy, curiosity, and wonder. It lingers in this moment like a ghost, filled with echoes of laughter and fragments of who she used to be, the girl Joel loved and fought to protect. It doesn't have to end like this, but it does. The storm rages on outside, and it's time for Ellie to be fully consumed by it. But there's a different Seattle out there.
Oh, easy.
There are two sides to every story. While Ellie sinks deeper into self-inflicted chaos, Abby is trying to rise out of the depths that push to swallow her. Her version of this war-torn city looks different, one of structure, militarization, held together by order and relationships. But as we learned from Ellie, that order is fragile, constantly on the brink of falling apart. Abby walks among soldiers she lacks a connection with. In a place longing for her presence, she won't hesitate to leave it behind. Like Ellie, she walks her own path. And like Ellie, she carries the same burdens: guilt, trauma, regret. It constantly gnaws at her. Her version of Seattle feels hardened, one that has a lot more control, one with more hopeful undertones. The sun beams from the sky as she departs the WLF base in search of something personal. Owen. The road to the aquarium is tighter, symbolic of the control she's used to, filled with shops along Seattle's Chinatown. It gives off the illusion of peace and represents the melting pot of a long-past society, one that allowed different groupings to come together as one, despite their differences. But her world is about to fall into the same violence devouring Ellie. While she will endure the same storms, they carry opposing meanings. Not ones of self-destruction, but ones of forgiveness and the emergence into the role of protector. While Ellie's world crumbles around her, Abby uses these broken pieces as stepping stones to rise above it, to meet a new purpose, one that gives her life meaning again. In the aquarium itself, Abby seeks solace in memories of who she was before all of this, before the war, before Seattle, before Joel. It's a place that offers a deep contrast to the rage and chaos she carries inside, but she knows that she will never be the person she once was. The city of Seattle is a character in itself, a reflection of the internal collapse of its inhabitants, a physical manifestation of trauma, regret, and loss. It changes with the characters, just as they do with it. The architecture of sadness is about more than broken buildings and flooded streets. It's about broken people and broken souls matching that decay. It's about how sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you can't build yourself back up from the ruins. Because the ruins are everywhere, and sometimes they're all you have left.